PlanetSide 2 celebrates 2 years of epic battles. Inmass announced the launch date for Tera's first expansion. G-Star brings in some news for Blade and Soul that's not what you'd expect. And MapleStory 2 shows us some new gameplay and features. What's happening, guys? James Blonde here with MMOHuts.com with a quick weekly recap for MMO news and announcements of the week ending November 24th, 2014. And starting out the news week, we have yet another awesome short film from Riot called The Pledge in honor of League of Legends' latest champion, Kalista, the Spear of Vengeance. Kalista is a uniquely mobile and cooperative marksman who seeks out an ally to become soulbound. Once Kalista has found her soulbound ally, they are connected for the rest of the match, granting unique passive and active abilities only available to the pair. Her movement, on the other hand, is really unique, and it's due to her passive causing her to leap away from her target ever so slightly when she uses her basic attack. Seems like it might be tough to get used to, but once you've nailed it, it's probably super advantageous. So yeah, Kalista is awesome, but League is also getting players prepped for the new 2015 season with a 2-part patch rundown video series. Just to start things off, it seems like they're taking a strategic approach to diversity in the game, trying to make the experimental willpower players had back in Season 1 come back again. On top of that, they discuss the changes they made to the towers and why they decided to give some of them lasers. And in addition to all of this, and of course more, the new Summoner's Rift is now available in all game modes, including ranked, normal, and custom games. So we've been waiting for that for a little while now, and it's finally here. A lot has happened these past few weeks in League of Legends, so be sure to get caught up at the MMOHuts site posts that are linked below. And also along these lines, SMITE is preparing their World Championship coming this January 9th through the 11th in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be held at the Cobb Energy Center, which is much larger than the previous venues, and the prize pool is right now at $1.2 million and counting, and it might actually double before tournament day. That's what we're hoping for anyway. This past weekend, SMITE North American Championship was dominated by COG Red, which was interesting because these guys had a couple of underwhelming performances in practice a couple of days before. Either way, they showed a near flawless performance during the tournament, beating out Dignitas in the semis and overwhelming their counterpart, COG Prime, for an overall victory. Next up, Elsword is celebrating EVE's 3rd anniversary, or birthday as they like to call it, with a big in-game party. For starters, players can check out the exclusive Elsword North American in-game quests and events, and then check out some of the cool EVE-themed prizes that they're planning to give away to over 1,000 players. Prizes like life-size EVE pillows, EVE USB drives, and of course, tons of in-game currency. Also during the patch, they've introduced a raid boss, unlike anything you've ever seen before. Well, for the North American players anyway. Europe has, seen this before. Drabaki, the Warden of Darkness, is a huge 12-player raid boss that players only have 12 minutes to kill. Drabaki's epic coils, flaming purple poison, and tree-sized bladed tail are large enough so that all 12 players are getting hit from all angles. Hands down, it's the toughest fight in the game. And if you want to see it for yourself, check out Dizzy PW's preview video as he and the entire North American KOG dev team tries to take on the game's hardest raid boss. Last week, Inmass Entertainment announced the official release date for Tera's first expansion, Fate of Arun. The expansion will set sail to Northern Arun, where players will face new enemies and challenges as they explore the mysterious continent and try to break the siege of the Arctivan Imperial Army in an epic new storyline, as well as experience a ton of new gameplay enhancements that aim to both new and veteran players. It features an increased level cap of 65, an exciting new continent with new zones and dungeons to explore, plus a brand new type of battleground where 2 teams race to battle enemies in co-op PvE. I actually had a chance to see some of the new dungeons early with the team at Inmass, and let me tell you, the new BAMs in these places are absolutely awesome. Whether they trip you out and making you have to clear your head before moving on, or just plain, take over your mind, they get pretty challenging, especially the final boss. You thought Elsword's Drabaki was bad? Our entire team of press and devs with special GM powers had a hard time taking him down. Tera's first expansion will be live on December 16th, free for all players, but if you log in now, you can actually pick up an exclusive HP restoring White Tiger mount. Definitely want to do that. It's pretty legit. On a similar note, Snail Games announced the release date for Black Gold Online's first expansion, called Bloodied Tides. The new expansion is set for release today, actually, November 24th, as a free DLC for all players, and is set to offer an increased level cap, new areas, 2 added races, the Iberian Vampires and the Auric Brutes, a new Brawler class, aquatic battle carriers, and naval warfare. new underwater dungeons and instances, along with plenty more. Seems like a decent amount of content is coming to Black Gold Online, ready for you guys to check out today. Back to more news from En Masse. It looks like zombies, monsters, robots are getting invaded with more robots. Kinda. The new update called Steel Corps lets players pilot huge mech suits and tear into their opponents in a new Team Mech Match PvP mode. The new ZMR mechs come in light, medium, and heavy classes, with each class having 4 models to choose from, 2 base models, and of course 2 limited edition models that offer a little bit more in terms of visuals. These guys are set up just like you'd expect them to be. The light mechs are all about the speed, medium mechs offer firepower and decent armor, and the heavy focuses on raw power and being as tanky as all get out. Other than adding in a new mech-based PvP mode, along with the badass mechs to go along with it, this new update brings in 9 new maps on top of that. I figured this is an update worth mentioning for ZMR. And speaking of content updates, which seems to be the theme of this week's recap, FireFall released update 1.2 this past week, titled Together Toward Victory. The new update introduces a big chunk of new content, including more open-world encounters and improvements to some existing content, such as the Broken Peninsula PvP area. Operation Miru, the very first 5-man instance, has players step into the volcanic depths of Devil's Tusk to put a stop to the Chosen's plan to release a colossal monstrosity on the Accord. In Miru, you've got plenty of threats to face, including some enemies that are hostile towards each other. The Chosen army has also threatened the Accord Skydock and the Coral Forest, so be prepared to face multiple assaults from the Chosen there as well. And that, honestly, isn't even half of it, so head over to the MMOHuts site post to catch up on all the details. Next up, Sony Online Entertainment is celebrating 2 years of epic battles in PlanetSide 2, highlighting many notable updates and features along the way. Over the past 2 years, we've seen the introduction of Player Studio, implants, the mission system, Hossin, outfit recruitment, the Amurish revamp, and of course plenty on top of that. So what's next for PlanetSide 2 now? Well, the PS4 launch, of course. According to creative director Matt Higbee, they've made a ton of progression on the PlayStation 4 version, redesigning the UI, increasing the frame rate, and reworking controls to ensure the game plays like a solid console shooter, not like a port. Although they haven't mentioned a specific date just yet, I've kind of got a feeling that the game is going to be on the PS4 really soon. According to the site, it still says coming in 2014, and honestly, there isn't much 2014 left. Also last week, Tryon Worlds released the Candy Barbarian, a brand new playable class in Trove. The Candy Barbarians are brave nomadic warriors from no other than the land of Candoria, who use their sugar-induced rage for supercharged special attacks. Let's just hope they don't ever crash from their sugar rush. This new class that dual-wields swords, axes, or spatulas is available now for either in-game credits or qubits. Now the other cool news here is that Tryon kept their word on getting us keys to give you guys, but they also one-upped it. You're going to want to keep your eyes out on the Facebook page, Twitter page, and MMOHuts giveaway page this week, because we'll be giving away Trove Primal Packs, which is the entry-level starter packs valued at $20 that include the Neon Ninja, the Fey Trickster, $5 in credits, and plenty more. Definitely want to look forward to that. On a similar note, Smilegate released 2 more videos showing off gameplay for SkySaga, the new voxel-based adventure game that I mentioned last week's recap. I gotta admit, it looks a lot like Minecraft, but the UI looks pretty sick, and the fact that you can dual-wield weapons or tools is another cool feature that stands out to me. Not to mention, we get to see a little bit of the PvP action in one of these new videos. As early as this game claims to be in terms of development, it actually looks pretty far along. And if you're in the UK, alpha testing starts next week, so now's your chance to sign up. And finally, G-Star 2014 brought in some cool new info on some titles that we were looking forward to. Sadly, nothing on Blade and Soul. Well, in terms of Western development anyway. They did announce a Blade and Soul mobile, which is a trading card game with a very cutesy, chibi art style being developed for both Android and iOS. So not exactly the info we were wanting to hear, but it could be a cool game nonetheless. Now, NCSoft did announce mobile versions of some of their other popular titles as well, like Aion Legions, PvP-oriented mobile game with a huge 20-man raid boss events to go along with it, or Lineage Eternal, which is going to be for PC as well as mobile devices. This game departs from the standard MMORPG style and heads to the hack-and-slash territory, promising large-scale battles, an interactive environment, dynamic dungeons, and crazy jester-based attack mechanics. I'm gonna be honest, now most of these games look badass, but most of the games talked about at G-Star this year were mobile games and TCG games at that. Another one being Mabinogi Duel as an example. But don't worry, we've got a nice roundup of all the G-Star content in one spot, so you can catch up on all the cool stuff right there. But Nexon also put out a new trailer for MapleStory 2 showcasing boss fights, the social aspects of the game, player housing, and the customization to go along with that, mini games, questing, and pretty much everything in between. If you were still wondering about what MapleStory 2 had to offer, this new trailer is the answer to most of your questions. It doesn't give us a release date because, you know, that's the ultimate question. It's worth checking out, along with all the other announcements from G-Star, which you can find by clicking right here. Well, anyway, guys, that's about as much MMO news and announcements I can fit into one quick weekly recap. For our North American audience, have a wonderful Thanksgiving at the end of the week here. If you're looking for more information about the news topics featured in the recap, check the links in the description below. Otherwise, head over to MMOHuts.com/news for even more MMO news. Feel free to discuss the news in the comments below, or head over to MMOHuts.com/forums. Until next time, guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.